Shannon
isn't available right now. Please leave a message after the tone.
It's not even 8 in the morning and it feels like it's 30 degrees already. I'm pretty sure it is 30 degrees. So I'm just trying to work out what I want to have for breakfast because I don't want to have something that's too hard to make because it's seriously just so sticky and humid right now. I know I said I wasn't going to make anything difficult, but I think I'm going to have French toast because I found some figs on the tree that haven't already been taken by the birds. So I might make French toast and grill them or something. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just toasting up some pistachios, put on top, and then I'll grill these figs. And instead of maple syrup, I'm going to put some of this rose jam on top of it because it goes with figs and pistachios really well. And I'm going to top it off with a tiny butter shell.
Let's have a chat about the constant urge to reinvent yourself. And I'm not talking about those cute little videos you see popping up on YouTube all the time, like become unrecognizable, glow up in 30 days, transform yourself by the end of the month. I'm talking about going through an inner metamorphosis so profound that you need to disconnect from everything that you've become. Shedding layers of yourself that no longer fit, even though they once felt like home. It's not just change though, it's a rebirth. And the unsettling thing about a rebirth is that there needs to be a death. And that means letting go of people, places, habits, and even dreams that once felt essential to you. But at some point you wonder if it's really a rebirth or if it's just avoidance of something that you can't quite put your finger on. As an INTJ, I think this is just part of our makeup. Ghosting people is just our defense mechanism. It's just an easy way of creating distance when things get a little too close. I've always been good at letting go of things that don't serve me, but lately I've been wondering if I'm too good at it. I used to have this blog, like a web page blog, and I had it for about 10 years and I had subscribers in the tens of thousands, which back then was quite a lot. I was getting brand deals every second day or so. I worked with Vogue Australia, Absolute Vodka, Asus, just huge brands that had a huge presence, especially in that social media influencer boom. And one day I just decided that I had had enough of it and it was gone in a couple of minutes. Now, there was nothing wrong with this blog. It didn't have anything contentious on it. It didn't have any crazy political views or anything like that. It was literally just a fashion and lifestyle blog. I pretty much just felt like I had finished with that part of me, and even though it was a really good source of income, and looking back, I probably could have sold the blog, but at the time I really just wanted it to be gone. And I cannot tell you how many YouTube accounts, Instagram profiles, Twitters, Tumblrs that I have gone through just because I felt like I needed to start over again. And I think the problem is that when you get so good at detaching from things, you begin to feel like almost nothing is worth holding on to anymore. It's like no version of yourself is good enough, and it just leads to an endless cycle of reinvention. I can get so obsessed with a new idea of how I should be, and then once I realize I can't perfect it, I just throw it away. And it can get so exhausting. It feels like friends, hobbies, ideas, they're all just temporary, because deep down I know that I'm not going to be satisfied with it, and in the end it's going to go out with the rest of the ideas. It's a mixture of the fear of being stuck with something that isn't perfect and going through life without being great at something. Or maybe you're the person who identifies with the person who failed, whether it's at education, relationships, career, or just life in general. And that can be a scary thought. No one wants to fail at life, but most people don't entertain the thought long enough for it to get really inside their minds. And if you're an INTJ, then you're no stranger to the constant desire to evolve, analyze, improve. The thought of stagnation to me is terrifying, and it creates this urge to just shed everything. I'm not sure when it was, but there was a point when I realized that it was really a need for control to just architect everything in my life. The detachment is probably mostly creating a false sense of control, cutting ties, resetting, moving on, rather than just facing the discomfort of staying, which is ironic because usually working through something is far easier than a complete overhaul of yourself. There is a point when the constant need to restructure everything in your life becomes tiring, and the ever forward moving energy results in feeling detached from who you really are. You have to ask yourself, what is the cost of always moving forward without ever looking back? To do this, we have to find a balance between reinvention and stability. The challenge is figuring out what's worth keeping, because not everything needs to be reinvented, right? Reinvention in itself isn't bad. I mean, it came from working out what's necessary and what can be improved upon. But striking a balance is definitely key. You can definitely evolve without discarding everything that you are at the time. You've got to be able to recognize when the change is necessary versus if you're just running away from something, which is usually the case. But as simple as it sounds, it's not always easy to work out the difference between these two polar forces. For myself, the easiest way to do that is just to simply sit and talk with God. Look at Lot, for example. God told him to keep moving forward without looking back at the destruction of Sodom. That was a place that he was connected to. Looking back here wasn't a reflection of progress, but to detach from what God called him to leave behind. His wife, though, looks back and turns into a pillar of salt. In the book of Joshua, though, God tells the Israelites to set up some memorial stones to show the future generations of the miracle of them crossing the River Jordan. And when we look at this example, we're looking back as a reminder of God's power and faithfulness. So you don't always need to forget about what's happened in the past or who you used to be, but if you ask God, it's really easy to determine what you need to let go of and what you can keep and build on to bring you forward. And there's a heap more about that in the Bible, but I think those two examples really highlight the balance of the old and the new. Instead of reinventing ourselves, we should be encouraged to transform our identity with Christ. We can still shed our old selves, things that aren't beneficial to us, sin, fears, doubts, but we can still use other parts of us to build upon. And I know that that's easier said than done. I will admit it. But if you ask God for guidance on who you should be or what you need to transform in yourself, rather than throwing everything that you are away at once, then it removes so much of the fear and doubt and anxiety that constantly feeling the need to reinvent yourself causes. Because as much as I would like to not admit it, I think that there are a lot of things that should be built upon rather than erased, because I have done a ton of terrible and embarrassing things in my life that I would just love to wipe out, but I will allow them to stay there because it's a testimony as to how God has moved in my life. The more that we try and reinvent ourselves, the more chance we have of losing who we really are. It's fine to change your mind on things that you give value to, but sometimes it can just lead us further away from the person that we really are. A lot of the time, staying put can lead to deeper growth than moving on. It's like if you plant a seed, you have to plant it and leave it there and water it and nurture it. You can't just dig it up to see if there's any progress. Otherwise, it wouldn't live, it would just die. You have to let it grow roots, get grounded, and then it grows into a plant. And unless you decide that you really don't want that plant, the only time that you're gonna get rid of something from it is if it has a disease like mites or the leaves are turning brown because you didn't water it enough. Otherwise, you leave it there, you trim off the parts that you don't want and you let it grow. And you have to do the same for yourself. You need to ask yourself what parts you should hold on to rather than just impulsively throwing it all away. For me, the constant urge to reinvent myself feels like an eternal void. It feels like I know that this new path will never cause me to feel completeness, but it's so hard to get out of, especially for an INTJ, where in the beginning, the pursuit of something new is full of energy and ideas and it's fun, but it's also a double-edged sword because while it can drive you towards excellence, it can also cause competitiveness and this hollow feeling. So I really have to ask myself, am I reinventing to evolve or am I avoiding something deeper? Or is it just a way to get control over something? Reinvention isn't always necessary. A lot of the times it's about shedding layers of ourselves that are false, that we've picked up over the years of reinvention. We just need to trust God into showing us the path that we're meant to be on. Giving into God is like a release of the burden of perfection. And it's definitely not easy in the beginning, but giving everything up to God makes getting out of the whole eternal void of reinvention so much easier. And I will leave you with those thoughts because it's already 12:40 and I haven't had lunch.
I'm not really hungry, but I saw this recipe on Pinterest. Well, it's not so much a recipe as it is a picture, but it was sour cream on plain potato chips with caviar. So since I have all that stuff right here, I'm gonna try it because I've never had it before.
Here are the ingredients. I have this sour cream, which is actually garlic and parsley flavor, so I'm not sure if I can use that, but I will. And there's a hole in it, and I didn't realize. Well, I don't remember if it was there when I picked it up. I'm pretty sure there was no hole in the top, but I'm going to eat it anyway. Red Rock Deli Australian sea salt chips. And this is the caviar, which is from Italy, white sturgeon caviar. Comes with a mother of pearl spoon. And the brand is Calvisius, I think. That's what I'm gonna have for lunch. I think the first step should be to open the caviar. This is from Costco, by the way. I hate it when things are packaged like this. Okay, spoons out without breaking it. And here is the caviar. I'm gonna go wash this spoon. These are really small chips. Well, this isn't working out how I wanted it to.
I wanted it to go better. I wanted it to go better!
Trying to pull out the big chips, but there are none. I feel super gypped. These are the biggest chips I could find in the packet. They're all tiny and most of them are broken. But it doesn't really matter because I'm not that hungry anyway, so it's whatever. I didn't read a recipe or anything, so I'm not really sure about the sour cream to chip to caviar ratio. How am I meant to open this? This was a futile exercise because I don't think I can get this open. The struggle is real. Finally. Okay. There it is. Smells fishy. One got stuck on there. So I don't know if I should eat that because, hang on. So you're supposed to use these mother of pearl spoons, right? Because metal affects the taste of the caviar. But why do they put it in a tin? Is that not affecting the taste while it's in there? So can I still, I mean, I'm gonna eat it anyway, obviously, but can someone explain that? There's my little caviar with sour cream and potato chips lunch snack. And my tip to you is use a bottle opener to open the tin. This is the first time I'm trying the caviar on potato chips. But I feel like I should be more hungry to eat this, but I'll try it anyway. I can't taste anything. All I can taste is the garlic and chive sour cream. So I'll just, I mean, that was the point of it, to have it with sour cream on chips. But maybe you need to have plain sour cream because I cannot taste the caviar at all. That was a fail and a waste of $50 of caviar probably. But I'm gonna eat the rest of it anyway, since I already made it. Also, if you don't eat it really fast, the chips go soggy really quickly. So I'd probably give like a 4 out of 10. If you haven't had it, it's not worth trying. Just eat the caviar by itself. For dinner, we have salad with namjim and crispy fried barramundi. And why is the table so dirty? It's getting stormy outside for some reason, even though it's the middle of summer. So I'm gonna make some cozy mocktails and a cocktail for Jay. I'm going to use this Tart cherry juice. So I think it's based on the sleepy mocktail. It's meant to help you sleep. And I'm gonna make JR's first. Whoa. So I'm gonna put some sugar in it because he doesn't like sour stuff that much.
see the cherry. And this is my cocktail. Much less impressive than I thought it would be. And you can't see it, but there's a maraschino cherry in there somewhere.